Okay, so taxes, right. Not usually the first thing that screams dream job.
Uh-huh. Yeah, not exactly the most glamorous topic.
But for those of you out there who are like, actually, tax advising sounds kind of cool,
This one's for you.
we're going to help you absolutely crush that interview.
That's what this deep dive is all about, giving you the tools and the confidence to nail that tax advisor interview.
And not just any old interview tips, right? We're going deep specifically for this role.
Exactly. Using all the insights we've got from the career guide, the interview guide, and even some cool AI tools from RoleCatcher.
Oh yeah, RoleCatcher. That's going to be interesting to see how that all works. But first,
First, let's get you familiar with what this career actually is.
right, because honestly, when I first looked at the career guide, I was surprised. I
Yeah.
thought it was all like calculators and spreadsheets, but
It is so much more than that.
it's advising businesses, helping individuals, even dealing with things like mergers, estate taxes.
It's a lot of strategy, a lot of problem solving, and a lot of staying up to date because tax laws, well,
They never stand still, do they?
nope. Always changing, always keeping us on our toes.
I kind of like that, though. It's like being a financial detective, right?
Yeah.
Uncovering opportunities, finding solutions.
Absolutely. And the career guide even talks about all sorts of different specializations you can get into.
Oh, yeah, like international taxation or something.
That's one, yeah. I always found that fascinating. There are tons of areas you can really dive deep into.
I love that. Okay, so let's say you're in the interview, things are going well, and then they hit you with the classic. What inspired you to pursue a career in tax advisory?
Ooh, yeah, that one. All right, listen up, folks. This is your chance to shine.
Don't just phone it in.
Exactly. This is not the time for generic answers. They want to see your passion.
That genuine spark.
Yes. What was it for you? Was there a specific experience, a mentor who inspired you?
For me, I think it was back in college, I had this internship where I got to help a small business owner with a really tricky tax situation. And when we found a solution, the relief on their face, I was hooked.
Oh, wow. I love that story. For me, it was actually a course on estate planning. I suddenly realized, taxes are about real people's lives. They're big moments. It's not just about numbers. It's about helping people through those moments.
Okay, that is a way better answer than I'm good at math.
No, Ray.
But seriously, those are great examples of how to make it personal, make it memorable.
And if you're struggling to find that spark, that's where RoleCatcher can be super helpful.
Oh yeah, how so?
Well, their AI can actually help you brainstorm different angles for your answer, like what might resonate with this specific company.
That's pretty cool. All right, so first question down, what's next?
Well, they're probably going to want to dig a little deeper into your actual experience. Something like, can you describe your experience with tax planning and compliance?
Okay, so this is where we got to show, not just tell, right?
Exactly. It's not enough to say, oh, I know about taxes. You got to show them how you've used that knowledge.
So what's the best way to do that?
STAR method.
STAR method. Okay, remind me, what's that again?
It's all about telling a story. Situation, task, action, result. So think of a specific situation, maybe from an internship or even volunteer work, where you had to use your tax knowledge. What was the task? What actions did you take? And what was the result?
And it's not just the technical stuff, right? Like, did you have to explain something complex to a client? Work as part of a team?
Oh, absolutely. Those soft skills are super important too. They want to see that you can communicate, collaborate.
Basically, be a human.
Exactly.
Now, if you're early in your career, might be tough to come up with those examples. I mean, not everyone's got a tax-themed highlight reel ready to go.
Right. And that's where RoleCatcher can be a lifesaver. They have this AI that analyzes the job description and can actually suggest ways to highlight the skills they're looking for, even if your experience isn't directly in tax advising.
So, like, if you organized a fundraiser, that shows organizational skills, problem solving.
Exactly. Things that are super relevant to tax advising.
Okay, I'm liking this RoleCatcher thing more and more. So you've talked about your inspiration, you've showcased your experience. What kind of follow-up questions might they ask at this point?
They might want to see how you think about the different areas within tax advising. So something like, what aspects of tax advisory are you most interested in? Or maybe, are you more drawn to working with individuals or businesses?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's a chance to show that you've done your research right.
Exactly. You can mention those specializations from the career guide, estate planning, mergers and acquisitions. It shows you're not just looking for any job, you're thinking about where you fit in.
And even if you're not 100% sure yet, you could say, hey, I'm excited to explore. It shows you're eager to learn.
Absolutely. Enthusiasm goes a long way.
All right, let's tackle another big one. This question is all about showing that you're a lifelong learner. How do you stay up to date with changes in tax laws and regulations?
This is a big one, yeah. The tax world is constantly changing, so they want to see that you're proactive, that you're committed to staying on top of things.
Right, but how do you show that? You can't just say, I read tax code for fun.
Haha. Well, you can mention those professional organizations, those publications.
Oh, right, like the AICPA, the NAEA, all those acronyms.
Exactly. The career guide has a whole list of resources you can mention.
You know, what's interesting is there's so much to learn beyond those traditional resources.
Mhm.
I once picked up a really useful tax tip from like a random podcast.
See, learning is everywhere.
It just shows you got to be curious, right? Always be open to new information.
Exactly. So maybe mention specific publications you follow, webinars you've attended, online courses.
Anything that shows you're taking initiative to expand your knowledge.
Exactly. All right, we've covered inspiration, experience, staying up to date. What's next on the interview agenda?
Well, I'd say it's time to talk about ethics.
Ooh, yes. Big one coming up. How do you ensure that you are providing accurate and ethical tax advice to clients? This is where they're really assessing your integrity, your trustworthiness.
Yeah, it's not enough to just say you're ethical, right?
Yeah. Nope. Got to show them how you walk the walk. So think about specific steps you take. Double-checking calculations, seeking peer review, staying up to date on ethical guidelines.
And being transparent with clients. If you're not sure about something, don't be afraid to say, I need to do more research.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Honesty is key.
This is another spot where RoleCatcher can be super helpful. Their AI can analyze your answers and suggest ways to make sure you're hitting those ethical points that employers are looking for.
It's like having an ethics expert in your pocket.
I like that. Okay, we've talked about so much already. What else do we need to know?
Well, get ready to tell some stories, because next up, they're going to want to hear about a time you really put your skills to the test.
Ooh, I love a good story. Bring it on.
Here we go. Can you describe a time when you had to resolve a complex tax issue for a client?
The classic behavioral question. I used to dread these, but now I see them as a chance to really shine.
Exactly. It's your opportunity to share a mini success story. And guess what? STAR method comes in handy again.
I knew it.
Choose a situation that shows off your problem-solving skills. It doesn't have to be some massive crisis. Even a smaller issue can be great if you explain your thought process and the steps you took.
And if you are part of a team, make sure to focus on your specific contributions.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not just about the result, it's about the journey. How did you approach the problem? What challenges did you overcome? What did you learn?
This is where having a few stories prepped beforehand can really make a difference. You know, you don't want to be scrambling to remember something on the spot.
And RoleCatcher's video practice feature is amazing for that. You can record yourself answering these kinds of questions and get feedback on your delivery, your content.
Like a mock interview, but with AI.
Exactly. It can really boost your confidence.
So we've tackled the initial questions, showcased skills and experience, even told a compelling story. Feeling good.
They're impressed, but there's more to come.
All right, hit me with it. What other tricky questions do we need to be ready for? And how can we use all these resources, including RoleCatcher, to craft those perfect responses?
Let's dive in. Okay, are you ready for some of those tougher questions? You know, the ones that really test your ability to think on your feet, showcase your expertise?
Yeah, bring it on. I'm feeling pretty warmed up now.
Perfect. Because these questions, they're not just about knowing the textbook stuff. They want to see how you handle those real-world situations, how you think under pressure.
Okay, I like a good challenge. What do we have?
Well, the interview guide had some really good ones. Let's see. Oh, here's a classic. How do you manage competing priorities and deadlines, especially during tax season? Now, any tax advisor knows that juggling multiple clients and deadlines, that's part of the job.
Especially when April rolls around.
Oh, yeah. Tax season can definitely get a little intense.
To say the least. So how do we convince them we can handle it?
You got to show them you've got systems, strategies in place to stay organized, things like project management tools, setting clear priorities, breaking down those big tasks into smaller chunks.
Communication.
Yes, keeping everyone in the loop, clients, colleagues.
So it's not just about working hard, it's about working smart. And if you've used specific software or techniques, mention those.
Definitely. It shows you're proactive, you're thinking ahead.
Okay, so let's say we've convinced them we can handle the chaos of tax season. What's next?
Well, they might want to test your foundational knowledge a bit, make sure you understand the core concepts. Something like, can you explain the difference between tax planning and tax compliance?
Ooh, okay, this sounds simple, but I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
Exactly. Don't underestimate these seemingly basic questions. You got to demonstrate a clear understanding of both sides of the coin. So, tax compliance, that's all about following the rules, right?
Dotting your I's, crossing your T's.
Exactly. Filing accurate returns on time, making sure your clients are following the law to the letter. It's the foundation, really.
Okay, compliance, got it.
Ah,
What about tax planning? That sounds a bit more exciting.
it is. Tax planning is about looking ahead, thinking strategically. How can we minimize tax liability legally? How can we help our clients achieve their financial goals in the most tax-efficient way?
So compliance is about playing by the rules, and
Yeah.
tax planning is about,
Playing smart.
I like it. So how do we showcase that in the interview?
Well, you can mention specific tax planning strategies you're familiar with, like retirement planning, different business structures and their tax implications.
Oh, that's good. Show them you're not just reciting definitions, you're actually applying these concepts.
Exactly. And it ties back to those specializations we talked about earlier. If you're interested in estate planning, you could talk about minimizing estate taxes, business advising, different depreciation methods.
Perfect. Show them you understand how it all works in the real world.
Now, speaking of the real world, let's talk about clients. Because interviewers definitely want to know how you handle those relationships. Let's see, the interview guide had one about. Oh, here it is. How do you tailor your tax advice to meet the specific needs of each client?
Ooh, the personalization question. Every client's different, right? Different goals, different situations.
Absolutely. You got to show them you're not a one-size-fits-all kind of advisor.
So how do we do that? How do we convince them we're not just going to pull out some generic solution?
Emphasize your process. Talk about how you actively listen to your clients, gather information, analyze their circumstances, and then develop a plan that truly addresses their specific needs. It's about being a consultant, not just a number cruncher.
It's about that relationship, that trust. And, I bet RoleCatcher's AI could really help here.
How so?
Well, they can analyze the job description, the company's client base, and suggest ways to show you understand their specific target market and their tax challenges.
Ah, I see what you mean. It shows you've done your homework, you're thinking about their needs, not just trying to impress them. All right, ready for a bit of a curveball?
Hit me.
Can you discuss a time when you had to provide tax advice to a client in a crisis situation?
Ooh, okay, that's a tough one. I mean, what counts as a crisis? An audit? A natural disaster?
The specific scenario isn't as important as what it tells them about you. They want to see how you handle pressure, how you problem solve, how you make ethical decisions when things get tough.
So how do we approach this? I mean, hopefully we're not dealing with major crises every day on the job.
Of course not. But even smaller, unexpected situations can test your abilities. Focus on the process. How did you assess the situation? Gather information. Develop a plan of action. Did you consult with colleagues? Research the relevant tax laws.
It's all about showing you can stay calm, think clearly, and provide sound advice, even when the stakes are high.
Exactly. And if you have a specific anecdote that showcases your ability to handle those tough situations, this is a perfect time to share it.
But what if you haven't really faced a true crisis situation yet? Especially if you're early in your career, you might not have that experience.
That's a good point.
Well,
In that case, talk about a time you dealt with a complex or unexpected tax issue, even if it wasn't a full-blown crisis. The key is to highlight those problem-solving skills, that ability to think critically under pressure.
so even something from outside of work, like a challenging group project in school or a volunteer experience where you had to adapt to a sudden change of plans.
Exactly. They're looking for potential, not just a checklist of past experiences.
And again, this is where RoleCatcher's feedback can be so helpful. Practice those behavioral questions. Get personalized tips on your delivery, your content. It can really make a difference.
It's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
Hmm?
Hey, feeling good. Ready for a few more questions? We're on a roll.
Absolutely. Bring them on. Okay, wow, we have covered so much ground already in this deep dive. From those first few questions, the ones that are all about getting to know you.
Right, those icebreakers.
Yeah, to those really challenging scenarios,
Mm.
where they're really trying to see how you think, how you problem solve.
Those ones that really make you think.
Exactly. I'm feeling pretty good about it, honestly. But I also know there's always more to learn.
I like that attitude. Always room to grow, right?
Yeah.
And that actually brings us to something really important. We've been talking a lot about acing the interview, which is obviously crucial.
Yeah, I got to get the job first.
Exactly. But it's also important to think about, okay, What happens after you land that dream job? What does a successful career in tax advising actually look like?
Ooh, the long game. I like it. So where do we even begin? I mean, the career guide mentioned different paths you can take, right? Like moving up within a firm, becoming a senior advisor, maybe even a partner someday.
Exactly. And it's not just about climbing the ladder. You can also specialize. Remember all those different niches we talked about?
Oh, yeah, like estate planning, international taxation.
Those are just a few. The career guide highlights some that are super in demand right now. Things like mergers and acquisitions, trust and estate taxes.
It's kind of cool how many options there are.
Right. You can really find an area that you're passionate about and become an expert. And don't forget about those certifications.
Oh, yeah, the CPA and CTA, those can really help you stand out, right?
Absolutely. They show potential employers that you're serious about this career, that you're committed to continuous learning. It's like leveling up your skills.
I like that analogy. So certifications, specialization. What else did the career guide mention?
Well, there are some really good tips on how to showcase your capabilities beyond just your technical skills. One that stood out to me was creating a portfolio.
A portfolio, like for tax advising.
Yeah, it could include projects you've worked on, research papers, case studies, anything that demonstrates your problem-solving abilities. It's a way to show, not just tell, what you're capable of.
That's such a good idea. And it's not just for impressing potential employers, right? It can help you track your own progress, see where you want to grow.
Exactly. And another tip they mentioned was sharing your knowledge, maybe writing articles, blog posts.
Oh, yeah, becoming a thought leader.
Exactly. Or even doing speaking engagements. It's a great way to build your reputation, connect with other professionals.
And force yourself to stay up to date.
Uh-huh, that too. Okay, and speaking of connecting with people, we can't forget about networking. The career guide was really big on that, joining professional associations, attending industry events.
Yeah, that LinkedIn thing.
All of that. It might seem a little daunting, but it's really just about building relationships, having conversations with people who share your interests. You never know what opportunities might come up.
Okay, so deep breath. We've talked about a lot in this deep dive. Interview questions, career paths, continuous learning, networking. My brain is full.
Haha, that's a good thing. But seriously, you're now armed with all sorts of tools and strategies to tackle that interview and build a successful career in tax advising.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher is there every step of the way. Their AI can help you tailor your resume, practice your answers, even get personalized feedback.
They've got a free account you can check out. It's definitely worth exploring. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is to remember that in the world of taxes, knowledge truly is power.
So keep learning, keep growing, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
And go out there and show those interviewers what you're made of. We know you've got this.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We're rooting for you. Good luck with your interview. And remember, we're here to support you every step of the way.